Has it hit you yet, that senior game thing?
Yeah, it hit me about last week, actually. So just had to try and stay focused on the job ahead and not get too caught up, but also enjoy it.
What has been, I know you've been here for a long time, so there's a lot of memories, but what's one of your favorites that you look back on?
I always think, like, just the feeling I got after Northern Illinois in 2023, like, that was something special for me. First start in Memorial Stadium. We were 0-2 at the time, just trying to find a way to win our first game with Coach Rule, and finding a way to do that. My first game was really special, and I think that's one I'll never forget.
How would you describe Iowa, this rivalry? What words would you put to it?
Yeah, I think, like for me, I don't think really, like, even growing up, like, it was always hard to picture Iowa as like this, big rivalry game. Like you watch Michigan, Ohio State, and Alabama, Auburn, and it doesn't quite have that feel. But there is something a little different there. There's not quite as much history as some of those games, but I think there's always, Nebraska and Iowa guys. We see each other a lot at camps. A lot of times, like, I was on visits with a lot of guys who went to Iowa, and there's always just, I think we're always just trying to compete to see who between the two states. It's a battle for who's the toughest, who's the hardest working, and so I think that this game really signifies that, and I think there's no better play style than what we bring to the table every year to signify that, I think.
Did last year's game contribute to the fierceness of this rivalry?
I would say so. I mean, I think every year where, there's a little, it's on the field, but it's also kind of off the field antics, stuff like that. I think there's always a little bit of, you remember that. And, 2023, they were, and I think even the year before I got here in 2020, I think they were waving us off and, making fun of us and their presser. And so, like, it's just like all those things, like, I wasn't here for that. But those seniors in 2021, they didn't forget about that. And they kind of passed a little bit of that down to me. And, I'm sure, Iowa probably has some stuff that, we've done over the years too. And, maybe like 2022, I don't know if we did something. But I think all those things start to add up just a little bit over time, and just puts a little extra emphasis on this game.
Hey, Heinrich, you came in together with a few guys who were going out in this senior day. One of them, Teddy, Nebraska kid. When you think back to that COVID year recruiting class and how you guys couldn't visit, we got to know each other. What thinking about that? Like, what is impressions leaving Nebraska of him and the impact that he's had on this program?
Yeah, I think that whole class, there was a lot of in-state guys, and not even in-state, but kind of more local guys. And like you said, with COVID, we didn't get to really, like, I never took an official visit here because they were all shut down, and so we had to make our, we would all come together. I think there were 6 of us who came up here in 2020 before we got here, and kind of we took our unofficial official together. Mm-hmm. And we got to know some of the guys, and drove up here together and had a good time. And like we really, we'd go spend a weekend at Teddy's house in Elkhorn, or we'd all come together and spend time. And I think that really brought us closer together. Especially kind of that tighter, more local group. And I can't say enough about Teddy and like the perseverance that he's had. I'm sure it gets highlighted, but I can't imagine having to deal with that much adversity, especially when I remember watching Teddy my true freshman year line up against Aiden Hutchinson and like locking him down. Like Like you start off with that success, and then it's ripped from you, and then you build back up, and it's ripped down again. And as much as it really stinks for Teddy and his football career, like that's someone that, if I showed up to a job one day and I had Teddy next to me, like, I'm not going to worry about, is Teddy going to get the job done? Like, I know, like, he's going to fight, he's going to persevere through whatever adversity he has.
What are you most proud of this year as a tight end, or stands out about what you've taken on this season?
I think really a lot of the adversity that's kind of hit me. I think every single week I've tried to find something to accelerate with, something to improve on, and like even I don't think there's a stretch where I didn't get the ball for a couple games, and honestly, I don't really. I try not to keep track of that because that's not something that I believe signifies the importance of a player and their contributions to the team, but just continuing to improve every single week, because that's all I can do. It's a tough position, just I'm sure like every other position in football at this level, and the transition is it's a challenge in a lot of different aspects. A lot of technique stuff that I just have to continue to work on, even into this bowl practice. I seriously am looking forward to these bowl practices like more than probably anybody else. Just because it's an opportunity for me to continue to get coached without kind of you get into the week to week game schedule, and there's not a whole lot of time to work on all that stuff. And so I'm going to use this bowl practice. I'm going to work with Coach Satt, work with Coach Eck, work with Coach Holgerson, like just trying to improve my technique moving forward, and just trying to get better every single day.
Your journey is obviously more unique than others. How has it just resonated with you, obviously coming from Kearney, in-state quarterback prospect, to the moments of starting, and now this transition, just as you reflect on all those things?
Yeah, I mean, it's a path of ups and downs, and valleys and mountains, and I think just at the end of the day, like, this is probably one of the best paths that I could have been on for continuing to build my life after football, and after college especially. I've gotten the opportunity to work with I don't know how many coaches and had all these great teammates, and just continuing to plug through the adversity that hits when something doesn't go your way at this level. It's tough, and that is something that I really do pride myself on. Is like I don't view myself as someone who's going to run away from a challenge or run away from a fight. Like as I head off into whatever God has next for me, like I'm going to face it head on, and I'm going to do everything I can to succeed.
Anything else, Ryder?
Thank you, guys.
Thanks. Thank you.